West Side Story is a 2021 American musical romantic drama film directed and co-produced by Steven Spielberg from the screenplay of Tony Kushner. It is the second feature film-length adaptation of the 1957 stage musical of the same name. It stars Ansel Elgort and Rachel Zegler in her film debut, Ariana DeBose, David Alvarez, Mike Faist, and Rita Moreno in supporting roles. Moreno, who starred in the 1961 film adaptation, also served as an executive producer alongside Kushner. The film features music composed by Leonard Bernstein with the lyrics by Stephen Sondheim. The film entered development in 2014, and Kushner began writing the screenplay in 2017. In January 2018, Spielberg was hired, and casting began in September of that year. Justin Peck choreographed the dance sequences, and principal photography occurred in New York and New Jersey. Filming began on July 2019 and ran for 2 months. West Side Story had its world premiere at the Jazz at Lincoln Center Rose Theatre in New York City on November 29, 2021, 3 days after Sondheim's death. Now, this film has been met with wide acclaim, and some say that it's even better than the 1961 film version. Unfortunately, the film has been a box office bomb, grossing $73.8 million against its $100 million production budget. It did, however, receive 7 nominations at the 94th Academy Awards, and has also been included in the Best Picture category. It was also voted as one of the best films in 2021. Now, director Steven Spielberg told Vanity Fair, "West Side Story was actually the first piece of popular music our family ever allowed in the home. I fell completely in love with it as a kid." Spielberg would ultimately dedicate the film to his father, Arnold, who died during the production at the age of 103. Spielberg described the story as divisions between unlike-minded people in an old time itself, and the divisions between the Sharks and the Jets in 1957, which inspired the musical, were profound. But not as divided as we find ourselves today. It's turned out in the middle of the development of the script, things widened, which I think in sense sadly made the story one of those racial divides, not just territorial divides, more relevant to today's audience than perhaps it even was in 1957. One thing I found fascinating when doing research for this review was that Spielberg and Sondheim initially wanted to cut out the song I Feel Pretty from the film. Its presence in the original musical right after the Rumble was largely done against the wishes of Sondheim. He and Bernstein had been instructed by the producers to add an upbeat song after intermission to start Act 2. So the song was written in protest. Sondheim would later remark that he was embarrassed by its lyrical content, to the point that he allowed it to be cut from the 2020 Broadway revival directed by Ivan Van Hove. Spielberg likewise questioned whether the upbeat song would still work without an intermission between it and the Rumble. It was ultimately due to the intervention of Tony Kushner that the song remained. As Spielberg would later explain, Tony Kushner explained to me, and then I explained to Stephen, that this is the first time in our story that the entire audience is ahead of Maria's story, and the audience will feel very protective of her because we know what she's about to find out. Even I felt this somewhat of a juxtaposition after the heavy rumble scene moving into such a light and flitty song. The film's screenplay hews more closely to the Broadway script of the West Side Story than the 1961 film adaptation. Moreno, who played Anita in the 1961 film, plays Valentina, a reconceived and expanded version of the original character Doc, who serves as a mentor to the younger characters. Siblings Maria and Bernardo are now given the surname Vasquez. Anybody's, who's portrayed as a tomboy desperate to become a jet in the stage show and the 1961 film, is now portrayed as a transgender in this version. Also, some of the scenes are played out in Spanish or a mix of Spanish and English, with no subtitles providing translation. Spielberg further explained that the decision not to subtitle the Spanish dialogue was done out of respect for inclusivity of our intentions to hire a totally Latinx cast to play the Sharks, boys and girls. If I subtitled the Spanish, I'd simply doubling down on English and giving English the power over Spanish. This was not going to happen in this film. I needed to respect the language enough to not subtitle it. Now, many have praised the way the Puerto Ricans were portrayed in this film, and that this portrayal was a lot more respectful to the culture. In saying that, though, some weren't over the moon about it, with some criticizing the casting of Maria, played by Rachel Zegler, as she is of a Colombian heritage rather than Puerto Rican. But overall, this film deals with some very touching and pressing issues that are still relevant to this day, whether it be the divides of race, divides of your social bracket, or your earning capacity. This film really touches on a lot of those pressing issues. Now, for me, West Side Story is a magnificent film from start to finish, from the production to the costumes, to the sets, to the casting and the acting of this cast. It's magnificent. Now, most of us will know this musical so well, as it was written in 1957 and is considered one of the most famous musicals of all time. Inspired by Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Bernstein and Sondheim's musical will live the test of time, with classic songs that will never date, like Maria, Somewhere, America, etc. This is a most special movie. Now, in saying that, in 1961 the movie was exceptionally well done, and a lot of people were skeptical at how it would be portrayed in 2021. Spielberg is undeniably a fantastic director, but he wasn't really much known for doing musical movies. Well, I'm happy to say he delivered on every aspect of this film. He couldn't have made a better movie if he tried. He makes this with such love and passion, and respect to the themes and to the stories, and of course to the music. And he adjusts the story perfectly to fit in with our modern societal expectations. The other thing I must note is the incredible choreography from Justin Peck, the incredible music, reinterpreted by David Newman and conductor Gustavo Dudamel. And of course respecting this incredibly tragic storyline that will move you and spellbind your eyes and your ears. I've always been a big fan of this musical, and I can faithfully say they've done a beautifully respectful job in interpreting it in this movie. The cast are on point. I mean, there is no way that I thought Ansel Elgort from Baby Driver fame could sing like this, could perform like this. For me, he's absolutely perfect as Tony, the former leader of a street gang who spent time in jail trying to reform his life, and now he meets Maria and falls in love. His chemistry with Maria, played by newcomer Rachel Zegler, sizzles, as you can't help but fall for the star-crossed lovers. Rachel Zegler is magnificent as Maria. From her magnificent voice to her tough yet innocent portrayal as Maria, she just fits the role perfectly. Rachel was picked from over 30,000 applicants to play the role of Maria. David Alvarez and Mike Faist are excellent as the warring leaders of the rival gangs, the Sharks and the Jets, as they bring Bernardo and Riff respectively to life perfectly. I also loved seeing the original Anita from the 1961 movie, Rita Moreno, in a new role in this film, at the age of 90. And I enjoyed her reinterpretation of the character Doc. She just lends a credence to her role. Her rendition of Somewhere, though, albeit beautiful, maybe isn't the strongest version I've heard of this amazing song. Marina also served as one of the film's executive producers, and was on set for a large portion of production, often consulting with Peck on choreography. Marina described shooting the scene where Valentina saves Anita as particularly difficult due to her own well-documented experiences with sexual assault in Hollywood, as well as the surreal challenge of saving a character she played 6 decades prior. The scene was rehearsed with an intimacy coordinator to ensure DeBose's safety during and after the scene. Moreno, who had recalled having a panic attack when she shot the same scene for the 1961 film, was surprised that such a position existed upon being told in a joint interview with her and DeBose. And then we have Ariana DeBose as Anita, who has made all the headlines for her role. She is fantastic in this, but frankly I think the whole cast deserved nominations. I'm just sorry that it's only one of them that's getting all the attention. In saying that though, I feel she fully deserves it. She's absolutely spellbinding as Anita, not to mention her phenomenal dresses that she wears in the film. Now there isn't much more I can say about this incredible, moving film. There were parts that made me smile, there were parts that brought a tear to my eye, but there were parts that just made me sit and listen and immerse myself into this fantastic, beautiful world of 1957 New York. It makes me incredibly sad that a lot of people didn't want to go and see this film and support it, and that such a magnificent film like this fails so miserably at the box office, which will lead the bigwigs at the top of the movie companies to not want to make films like this anymore if they don't get the relevant support. Moving, stunning and poignant, this movie does special justice to this fantastic musical, and it surpassed all my expectations. West Side Story gets a 9.5 out of 10.